Epstein files.
I heard there's no files. I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
Like, what is going on?
What's up, y'all, and welcome back. When I initially shot this video, Donald Trump had not yet signed the Epstein files bill that was pushed to his desk. But some of the things that I'm saying, I believe is still relevant to what's going on and what we may see in the future out of this administration. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoy this video, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
We are waiting for President Donald Trump to take action 6 hours after the Senate passed the bill to release the Epstein files. After months of fighting over this story, blaming it on Democrats, claiming it's a hoax, Trump could, take any moment and sign it into law.
Just release the damn files, period. I don't care about how the sausage is made. I just want it out in the open for everybody to consume.
Yeah, it's to the point now where even the Republicans are getting tired of hearing about the Epstein files. They just want the stuff released. At least that's the impression that I'm getting from the politicians in Congress. That's the impression that I'm getting, is that they're getting tired of this whole situation. So who's ever in the files, they're all going down regardless of party affiliation at this point. The only person that actually cares about party affiliation seems to be the people in the White House, Trump, and the people around him. It seems to be the only ones actually making this about politics.
Republican Senator Thom Tillis, far from the only person in Washington who wants to be done with this story. But of course, it may not be that simple. Remember that on Friday, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, selected a prosecutor to look into Epstein's former associates, including prominent Democrats that President Trump requested. Bondi announced the new investigation despite a previous review of the case files that the FBI says, quote, did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
Yeah, and this investigation that just came out of nowhere, it does two things, right? It does one thing for Trump. It puts an investigation on the Epstein files, so it gives him an excuse to redact or remove certain things from those files because of a pending investigation. Another thing that it does is gives him an excuse to target his political enemies. Don't be fooled by what Trump is doing right now. This whole time, he's told people that this whole situation is a hoax. Well, first he told people in his campaign that he was going to release the Epstein files. Once he got into a position where he could release the Epstein files, now it's a hoax. Now, the day before the Epstein files were voted on in Congress, he's going to say that he's putting out an investigation on the Epstein files, concerning the Epstein files. Don't be fooled by what this man is doing. Please, anybody that's watching this, anybody that's paying attention, I understand that you may not be too aware of politics, too in tune with politics, but you should understand when you're being played. Like, we're all grown, we're all adults here. This dude is trying to play us when it comes to these files and the public actually seeing what's in those files. You get what I'm saying?
Quote, today, however, the Attorney General says things have changed.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue.
The victims are telling you to release the Epstein files in their entirety. Like, you can't sit here and act like if there are any victims, please come forward. They were in Congress just yesterday pushing for that legislation to be passed. Now it's sitting at the president's desk, and y'all are acting like y'all don't see it there. Like, come on now.
To provide maximum transparency under the law.
Continue to provide transparency, and yet all she says is, there's information.
Yeah, like there's new information that just came up out of nowhere all of a sudden that gives them an excuse to start an investigation, a new investigation. No, they're doing this to protect Trump. This is a Justice Department that is supposed to be independent of the president, but it's acting in a way as if it's protecting the president. That's Class A corruption.
The DOJ has all kinds of information that Congress had to write a law to get them to release. So what Bondi did anyway has raised the new possibility that this investigation could give the DOJ cover to delay or refuse to release the Epstein files that, again, are in their possession. So what happens if they do that? In the Senate, where the bill was passed with unanimous consent, no one seems to know.
What's going to be the recourse if the Justice Department does not release these Epstein files?
I hope that doesn't happen, because that would, of course, defy the act of Congress and the stated intention of the president to release this information.
I don't think they'll do that, Alex. I think I'd be really surprised if they tried that.
I've been saying for a long time that I think that all the credible information that can be released should be released. And so
That's the thing. Yeah, they're going to release something, but I don't think it's going to be what we think it is. I think a lot of stuff is going to be redacted, and the excuse that they're going to use is these ongoing investigations that they just started last week. That's the excuse here. They've been setting this up. They seen tea leaves and saw that this bill was going to pass, so they started these investigations to cover their ass. Let's be clear about this now. Please, let's be clear.
So that's where we're at.
At the end of the day, it'll all come out because those investigations will be concluded at some point, and then the present leadership of the Department of Justice will be held accountable if it fails to disclose what needs to be.
Held accountable how? Do you really think those Republicans in Congress are going to impeach the president because he won't release the Epstein files? I hope they do, but I don't see that happening.
All right, let's get off the sidelines and head into the arena. My panel is going to be here. We're going to get started, though, with CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes, who's been covering all of this for us. And Kristen, we just heard from the Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer. I want to play for you what he said just a couple of moments ago as we talk about this. Take a look.
This will not and cannot be the end of the work. We'll keep the pressure for the president to sign, and then pressure on the DOJ to release.
The Senate Democrats definitely need somebody different leading them. I don't want to sound ageist, but I'm always a big proponent of pushing the old guard out and putting in the current standard, putting in a new standard whenever there's a new generation coming of age. You get what I'm saying? So this is our time. We should have people more around my age or maybe a little bit older up there in that leadership position. And that's my opinion, but I digress.
Unredacted files. No hiding, no game playing, no covering up. Pressure to make sure the documents are released in their entirety and not warped by a corrupt DOJ who's hell-bent on hiding the truth, bending the law, and protecting Trump.
So, Kristen, he led off there by saying pressure for the president to sign. What are you hearing about plans to do that?
Yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. We were told multiple times by multiple different officials that as soon as this was on his desk, he was going to sign it. Now, were we expecting some kind of pomp and circumstance like we see typically when President Trump signs these bills? Probably not, just given the fact that he had actually actively fought against bringing this vote even to the floor. So
she just made a point. Like every other bill that Trump has signed, there's always been cameras, there's always been press, and there's always been like a event made out of it. He's not making an event out of this. If he does eventually sign it, it's going to be in a dark room somewhere, him signing it and pushing it off somewhere. That's it. Ain't gonna be no cameras. He's not going to be taking questions. It's not going to be anything like that because he's already setting some stuff up.
The bill itself doesn't seem like something he might want to tout or celebrate, but it was sent over by the Senate hours ago, and we were told by officials.
Let's be clear, that's weird for a president to not celebrate the exposing of PDF files. Like our president, our leader in this country is angry about PDF files getting exposed. Some of the most powerful PDF files in the world. How is that not concerning to everybody?
Then that it might take some time to get to the White House, but again, that was hours ago. And yet we still have not heard any word. We've asked if the bill has arrived. We've asked if the president has signed the bill. I was just looking down at my phone to see maybe we got an alert that said President Trump announced it, but he did not. We are still waiting to have any information as to when he is going to sign this bill. And on top of that, additionally, there is still a big question as to once he does, what actually gets released and win. I know we've had a number of people bring up the fact that there's this ongoing investigation. Are they going to use that, the Department of Justice, to not release certain aspects or certain documents? It is still very unclear. The White House has told me that President Trump is not going to stand in the way of anything being...
I think it's pretty clear. They're about to redact and remove whatever they can about Trump. I guarantee it.
Being released. But again, now you have this separate investigation that's going to raise a lot of questions and potentially create yet another roadblock.
All right, Kristen Holmes, with that update, as in there is no update. Kristen, thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, my panel's here in the arena: CNN political analyst, national political reporter for Axios, Alex Thompson; CNN political commentator, Jonah Goldberg; CNN political commentator, the former director of public affairs at the DOJ, Sochi Hinojosa; and former Trump campaign manager, Bill Stepien. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for being here. It took about 2 hours for Trump to sign the bill ending the government shutdown after Congress passed it. Jonah, just to be clear, once the Senate transmitted it, he could have signed it at any moment. Do you think he's going to sign it?
I think he's probably going to sign it.
I can't believe we're asking that. That's where we're at.
I was not expecting to come on the air at 4 and have this be the question.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to sign it, and I don't think we're going to get a release of all of the documents. I think historians are going to look back on this and think that this was one of the great examples of collective dysfunction and error going way back. And
it's not dysfunction, it's just pure corruption at the highest levels of government. This is clear what it is. It's Trump trying to stop the Epstein files from being released up until the investigation started.
And you should not release, in principle, you should not release raw investigatory files. There are lots of people who can be harmed by this. But this is sort of where we are, and I don't think even if they release everything, it will satisfy everybody, because this is now in the realm of conspiracy theories. It's not falsifiable. The lack of evidence will be seen of evidence that the conspiracy goes even further. We still have people making millions of dollars claiming that we didn't land on the moon and that Kennedy was assassinated by Muppets or something, right? This is never going to end, and I think Trump deserves a lot of the blame for getting himself into this position, but at the same time, it's a hot mess and everybody deserves some blame.
I want to play a little bit.
Yeah, but Trump deserves most of the blame. If you're going to be the leader of MAGA and run a whole campaign on releasing the Epstein files, and once you actually win and get empowered and you do everything you can to not release the Epstein files, you were responsible for making your own bed, sir. Let's be clear. This is the situation that you put yourself in. You can't sit here and put blame on anybody else but yourself. You're the leader. You're supposed to be the best candidate ever, the best president ever. So the buck stops with him. I'm tired of people trying to grade him on a curve all the darn time. Stop doing that. Stop making excuses for this man. It's nobody else's to blame but him. Let's start doing that. Honestly, let's start doing that more.
Of what Joe Rogan had to say on his podcast today, Bill, because this has, reached beyond, obviously, the political media ecosphere that if you're enjoying our show, you probably participate in relatively regularly, right? This has gone beyond that. Here's what Rogan had to say today.
Epstein files.
I heard there's no files. I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
What is going on?
It seems like a fair question.
Yeah, you will ask that question if you're not really paying attention to what's going on. But all you have to do is just look at what's going on in the context of things happening. The bill is making its way through Congress. Donald Trump is immediately coming up with some type of investigation to start concerning the Epstein files so he can redact and remove and keep on hold whatever he wants at this point. That's what's happening.
Bill, what is going on?
Well, I think you're seeing on a national podcast like that, this has entered the public sphere, in a way for 4 years or years under Biden, like it never did. I think you really see public opinion move against or towards the release. 8 and 10 want them released. Importantly, 2 and 3 Republicans, maybe most importantly, want these released. Those are numbers that Trump sees. And when you see, really for the first time in a decade, public fracturing of the MAGA base, I think that's what really concerns him. And it's also a year to the midterms, less so. So I think all these factors are pushing towards maybe signing.
Why is he waiting to sign it? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's a busy man.
The NVIDIA earnings call?
Let's be clear. Whenever a bill passes through Congress that's this big, I mean, that has this much attention to it, Trump has not held on to it for long at all. Like I said before, he has cameras, he has press, he makes sure everybody in the world sees him signing them bills. But for some reason, this bill is sitting on his desk currently. Today, came and went.
Like maybe he's paying attention to that?
There won't be pomp and circumstance, as it was alluded to there.
I mean, you're talking about like the 6 hours that he hasn't signed the bill, but what about the last 6 months when he could have just released the files if he wanted to? You know, like the fact is that Donald Trump is one of the most litigious people in the history of America, not just American politics, and his philosophy, going back all the way in New York City, is delay, and try to put off any potential consequences. And you are now seeing it from the White House.
Well, and now he has the Justice Department to protect him from this. So I think Pam Bondi could delay.
And that goes to say Trump is expecting some type of consequences from the release of the Epstein files, if they were to be released in their entirety. There's no way that you act like this if that is not the case. You get what I'm saying?
3 ways. One, there is obviously redactions, and victims and information like that, yes, absolutely should be redacted, no question about it. There will be a question about whether information about Donald Trump is redacted. And when you are providing information to Congress, we went through this with the Her investigation, where we received a Her report saying that Joe Biden was a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And Democrats strongly believed that the Justice Department should have removed that from the report or redacted it. We felt that we would have to tell Congress, and also, we never considered it, but if that were to happen, that would not hold up within FOIA. You would be able to take that to court, and there's no reason why something like that would hold up. Just like if there's something bad in there about Donald Trump, that's not going to hold up within FOIA.
So you're saying that the White House wanted that quote redacted or removed?
It shouldn't. Under normal circumstances, like she just brought up, that was under the Biden administration. This is the Trump administration. This might be a little bit more difficult. Like, they might not even recognize a FOIA request. You get what I'm saying? They might not even do anything if you submit a request.
The Department of Justice was under pressure to do it. They didn't do it. They sent it anyway because you didn't think it would stand up in court, among other things.
Yeah, among other things. And we were never considering it anyway, but we would also have to tell Congress. Congress can also ask for the full files, non-redacted, in a SCIF, in a classified sort of briefing, so they can see everything. And that's something that DOJ will also have to consider. The 2 other pieces of this is the ongoing investigation part. The ongoing investigation is not of Donald Trump. The ongoing investigation that they called for is of Democrats. So if they're not going to release anything, it would be information about Democrats. It wouldn't protect Donald Trump. It wouldn't protect anyone else. And then I think the last option, which we should all consider,
that's only if their arguments ever make sense. But Trump is not going to use this to protect Democrats, and we know this.
Is what happens if Bondi just doesn't release everything? Like, she could selectively release something, and would that information get out through a whistleblower to FBI, or how that information would get out? And I think so. Those are the 3 ways that I think that we're not going to necessarily see anything, and Pam Bondi's going to find a way.
I mean, it makes sense. Pam is doing whatever she can to protect Donald Trump. We can see it clear as day. I mean, the Justice Department is not independent of the president any longer. It is essentially the president's lawyer. That's what she is. It's the president's personal lawyer at this point. And she's doing everything that she can to protect this man. Even some are saying manipulating the Epstein files. Even Epstein's brother is saying it at this point. So yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope y'all enjoyed, and please like, follow, subscribe, share, and I'll see y'all next time.